Hello, welcome back to another Haya video tutorial. This tutorial is going to cover how to uh, use and understand the system logs. Um, so you go to system log, and this is going to show you. This is kind of it shows you alarms. So these are active alarms, like system is offline, network time invalid. So basically, the Wi-Fi module is not really hooked up right now. So those are valid alarms. So anytime you see it in orange, that means that there's still an actual problem. I will simulate an issue here in a minute, just so you can kind of see what that looks like. So anytime you see it in green, that either means that there was a problem, but it recovered, or in this case, it says feeding started. So the system does actively track and tell you when it did a feeding, the trigger date, the recovered date, which basically means it started the feeding on this date, it stopped the feeding on this date, so it's within the same date, but it also shows you trigger time and your recover time. So it started a feeding here and stopped a feeding there. So this is useful. I mean, it kind of runs on. The list can kind of get long, but it is useful when something happens to kind of run back. That also tracks anytime you press the start button, it doesn't auto mix or it doesn't any mix for any reason. All that stuff is logged in here. So this is kind of it logs what happened for both alarms and just stuff that's supposed to normally happen. Uh, if you try and clear the log list, it's only going to clear the things that are green. So it will not, because these are active alarms. These are still true. So it actually clears it, but it kind of comes right back. So because it's still in an active state. So uh, what I want to do here is I want to trigger a real error, and the way I'm going to do that is just put a volume offset here, so that it actually over or underwaters and triggers a volume error, which is probably the error most people are most interested in. They want to know when their plants didn't get enough water or got too much water. So here we go. So this should actually go to 0.6 instead of 0.5, which is above the alarm threshold. The alarm threshold is 0.075. So we got an error, and we're going to get a pop-up telling us that. We hit acknowledge. It's going to take us to this page. And now you see, like, we got bank 1, station 1, station 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 all have errors because we fed the plant too much water in this case. And it also logged that the feeding started at this time. Okay. So if I try and clear that, like I've showed before, it's just going to clear this one that's green. Because the green, there's nothing really wrong on the green one. It's just telling you it did it. So, but if an alarm condition goes away, those will also turn green. So I'll give you an example here. So we'll go back in here to settings, and we're going to zero this offset out so that it actually gives it the proper amount of water. So here we go. Okay. And then all these red boxes are going to clear. Everything was fine. So now we're going to go to system and logs, and you're going to see that all of these just turned green. It also logged so these are good now. It says, okay, it's fine now. It delivered the right amount of volume. It's cleared. So if I clear all this, it's going to clear everything but what's active, which is I have the Wi-Fi stuff is not working on this particular setup right now. So, and that's because it's my development setup, and that's on purpose. So another thing worth noting is I can't really show it on the simulator here, but in this region right here that I'm kind of moving the cursor around, when you plug in a thumb drive to the system, and unless you're updating software, I suggest just plugging in a blank thumb drive, so just don't have any files on it. Either way, when you plug it in, it'll do this, but it'll also ask you to do a software update if you have an update file in there, which you may or may not want to do. So basically, a button will appear here, and that button will log all this data to a USB thumb drive, which you can then send to us for analysis if you're having a problem. So be careful just clearing stuff if you're not sure what's wrong, because we may want that data, and we can look at it over here and kind of try and dissect what's going on in your system. So um, at some point in time, we may ask you, hey, can you send us the log file? And you're going to plug in your thumb drive to the bottom of the box, and there's a button that's going to appear here, and you're going to press that, and then that's going to log all this data to a file, which then we can look at and view here and try and dissect what's going on with your system. So, but if you clear the log, all the green ones that have recovered those are going to be gone. That's not going to show up. It's only going to show the active alarms, which are orange. So please don't clear it unless you're sure you know what happened and you just want to declutter the screen. Or, if you want to clear it, at least take a backup of what's going on here with the thumb drive, like I just described how to do prior to clearing it, so we at least have that data to look at if we want. So that's pretty much it for the log file. It's just useful. It's just a running log. What alarm conditions do you have? And what's been happening on your system? It may not be nothing wrong, like you said. If I do for example, if I come in here and I let me see what I have here in settings. So if I set mix to a minute, for example, and oops, I need to go actually set. That was pre-mix. I need to set this normal mix for a minute. Then I hit done, and then I start it, and then I stop it. And if I go into system log, you'll see it says mix started, basically the recovery time. So I started, and then 3 seconds later I stopped it. So it logs everything so that you can go back in history and see what you did and what day, what time, and that's quite useful when you're when you're trying to troubleshoot things, or you think maybe it didn't happen, maybe it didn't do a feeding, um, or maybe it did a feeding, but then somebody came in here and cleared this LED like was shown in a previous tutorial, so you didn't think it did it. Well, you can go back to the logs and that will still be there. It'll still show that it did it. So I hope you find this useful. That's it for now. I'm sure there'll be more tutorials to come. Uh, Thanks for watching. So long for now.